Hello, everyone. We are assembled today to bid farewell to Uncle Mansanity, who was crushed by reading one too many bad webcomics. The weakened mind could no longer help but crumble beneath the weight of the princess's jewel.
So, I hear you were close to your sanity.
Yeah, that's correct.
I see.
Can I ask why you're in grayscale?
Uncle, was it? Is Uncle Man even your real name? It hardly matters. Perhaps you should begin by telling us how this all occurred.
Fine then. I'll tell you all I know. It all began on an especially frigid day of January. Hey! Welcome back to another Webtoon video. Today I'm checking out The Princess's Jewel. You know, I've heard whispers of the horror this comic holds, but I've never read it myself, so let's not put it off any longer, shall we? The Princess's Jewels. Sounds like we're talking about her nutsack. That's an interesting choice. Princess Ariana. Okay. Princess Ariana. Bro, I wish I was joking right now. I'm not even doing this on purpose. Hello? Okay, Sacrimise. Sacrimise? Princess Ariana de Sacrimise. We'll go with that for now, unless I forgo again and start pronouncing it differently. Very possible. Knows that becoming the first ever empress of the Arbazella Empire. What are these names? Empire will be no small task. That's why she collects 5 beautiful jewels. Talented, handsome men from across the lands to help her reach her goal. See, I don't really like referring to I don't really like the concept of referring to people as objects, even if the objects are gems. Let's give this one last try. God damn. Princess Ariana de Sacrimise. Okay. Knows that becoming the first ever empress of the Arbazella Empire will be no small task. That's why she collects 5 beautiful, quote, jewels. Talented, handsome men from across the lands to help her reach her goal. Can Ariana maneuver her way through court politics to become the empress? And can these jewels help her shine? Can we stop with the verb sound effects? Hi guys, can we stop? Look, it's Princess Ariana. Ariana? Wow, how mysterious and handsome! Oh golly, oh gosh! But the men surrounding her are also amazingly beautiful. Yeah, because that's all that matters, you know? The princess being pretty and the men, who cares about qualifications, you know? That's the... Have you ever seen an ugly empress in one of these novels? No, that's what I'm saying. Everyone knows looks are like the only qualification. You just need to be hot enough and have a harem, and then you can be emperor or empress. Who is this guy, and why does he not fit at all? Like, everyone else is dressed like... And, he's just dressed like a regular guy. Like, hey, Sir Duke. Why don't you loosen up a bit? It's just a ball. Flicking the hand. I was doing the okay, promise I was doing the hand. Trust. The princess certainly has, I assume the dots around. JoJo reference. No, okay. I assume that means it's a whisper. The princess certainly has high standards. The men in her entourage are so beautiful, just like jewels. Prince Effort, how many times do I have to remind you it's Duke Phantom? Phantom Hive? CL Phantom Hive? No. Oh, that is what they are. That is why they are. Okay, that doesn't mean- that is why they are called the Princess's Jewels. Also, every time I'm gonna hear that title, I'm really gonna think they're just talking about her nutsack. Which may or may not exist, I don't know. Why does it look like Dr. Eggman? Why does he- forget Eggman, actually. No, Robotnik. Why does he look like Robotnik? Dr. Robotnik? It's a- Oh, my lovely daughter, Ariana. But more importantly, I'm happy that you came back safe and sound. Indeed, my little princesses are the best! The invincible 31st Emperor of Arbizella, Jader. Okay? That sounds like a slur. The entire empire is rejoicing over news of your victory, your majesty. I, Bavillo, the first prince of the great... Are they gonna announce are they gonna announce themselves like this every time? Genuine question. Like, look at how long that is. That's like 2 sentences worth of title. Anyways. You know, no wonder, like, I wonder if they're gonna try to frame him as a bad guy, but like, the dad's just a shit dad. Like, you shouldn't be treating your kids like that, bro. Like, treat them all like shit or treat them all well. Well, ideally, you treat them well, okay? Don't get me wrong. Ideally, you treat them well, but like... It looks like Princess Ariana is the Emperor's favorite. You don't say! Oh, you don't say! What might have... What might have let you in on that information? But she's just a princess. No matter how superior she is to her brothers, as long as she's a woman, she'll never become the Empress. At best, maybe she'll become a wife to the prince of a neighboring country. Who acts like this? Who walks like this? Also, I really don't like the way they draw her chest, her chesticle. Ah, so she's a freak, and not the fun kind. If I were to become Empress, it would be legal for me to take a second husband. It might be greedy, but I'd like to become an Empress for that alone. I fear it would be easier to just, like, get someone to change the law than to become Empress for that, you know what I mean? Like, that's a lot of work. That's a lot of responsibilities, you know what I mean? And, also, you could just not marry them. You could just date all of them and not marry them. Easiest solution. The best of both worlds. With many good-looking men out there, how can I live with just one? Gotta be honest, she's not like painting herself as the most likable character right off the bat. I mean, maybe she becomes more likable, but like, I mean, look, if the only thing you want to do is like become in a position of power to like gain the privileges of that position and you're not qualified, then, you know, maybe you just shouldn't. But those rigid fools would rather die than see Miss- Okay, I don't think any of them said anything that intense, though. What's wrong with me becoming the first Empress of the Empire? They all have nothing on me! Fume. In order to do that, I'll have to strip the power away from my brothers and the nobles who don't want to see an Empress on the throne. Of course, this is all for the sake of my harem. See, this doesn't look good. Like, it doesn't look good no matter who you are. It's not even a gender thing. Like, it kind of looks like Dookie if you're a guy dating many women. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But also for Arbizella, and last but not least, but like the main reason is for yourself. The harem is a selfish reason, right? Like don't be like, oh, but it's for the country, but it's for my harem, but it's for the country, but it's for my harem, but it's for the country. You know, like no, be for real. You know, be fucking for real. But for now, it's eye candy time. Let's see what's new. Oh, if only these men fell from the skies and into my arms. I know, I'd treat them right. Wait a minute. There is a way! I can have a handsome man by my side and secure my power. I'll make my very own jewelry box. First of all, if she's been dreaming of this for that long, how has she not... Bruh. How has she not realized this yet? You know what I mean? Like, if she's been wanting this for that long, how has she not considered? And also, I'm kinda confused, like, why would dating a bunch of men from across the land make you empress when other stuff could? Beautiful jewels just for me. This sounds like she would be the villain in most stories. Like, most stories paint the person who's like greedily chasing a bunch of guys as like the villain. She goes back to her room after glazing her dad, the emperor. Her internal, not so internal dialogue is just like, no one thinks like that. No one thinks like that. Like, no one ever has had a thought formulated in that way. And that's, I feel like, an easy trap, because you just want to like convey the information as directly as possible, and a lot of people won't consider the voice of the person. When people talk in real life, especially if they frequent each other a lot, they'll probably pick up expressions and stuff from each other. Like a family or close friends, you know, you talk a lot, you end up sharing expressions, experiences. But people from different places with different languages, different backgrounds, you speak differently. But, you know, her thought process also makes little logical sense. So, the world is too conservative to allow women to rule, so she can't be empress. But by assembling a harem, she can become empress, which she wants to do, so she can have a harem. First and foremost, she pretends like she's better for the empire, but girly, you literally just want to rule so you can do whatever you want. Which is use a bunch of quote-unquote attractive men. Her priorities definitely do not lie with the empire. Also, apparently this is like the first time in her life she's had this thought. You're telling me that she's been interested in ruling hot men, dating multiple men, yet her main hobby is hiding magazines and pulling them out and just, I don't know, whatever she does with those, like jerk off. I don't know, man. And you're telling me all of this, but she's never thought of this stupid plan, quote, of hers before. You will be obsessed with guys, be like, oh man, I wish I could be empress, date guys. You've never considered this, however bad it could be, still, it's I guess a plan, this plan before. Like, bro, I feel like she would have had this thought before this instance. You know what I mean? The author also falls into the trap of trying to make the characters they very obviously like too perfect. Unfortunately, there is no such thing as perfection, so if you don't plan character shortcomings, they'll still exist. It just means you're oblivious to them. Very early on, Ariana is shown to be insincere, self-serving, and manipulative. This would not be an issue did her actions actually hold meaning. If there were actually consequences to people realizing how she truly was behind the mask. If she was treated like a traitor or a villain, the story would be so much more interesting. Yet her actions are still framed as good, and we, as readers, are supposed to root for her. Also, why is every dress she owns in that same exact cut? Like, does she not own a dress with another neckline? Or like, unless you're afraid of me, is that it? What? What? What am I seeing? No. I don't. What else can I say beyond no? Princess of Charm. Why are you charming your siblings, huh? This is so weird. She doesn't know him, and she's just like, he oozes sex appeal. It's so weird to say that about a stranger. No, like, it's so weird. I was like, what do you mean Phantom? It's Phantom Hive. I forgot that was just me saying that, and his name's not actually Phantom Hive. That's so weird. That's so. Oh, whoa. Hey, yeah, whoa. You can't just kiss people you have not met like that, especially not in public. You know what? I might pull out my last toggle. I have not shown it off yet, but I think this deserves my last toggle. It deserves the 5th. I plead the 5th? Yeah, no, that's gonna be me right now. The finger wiggles on its own. I'm sorry. There's no more type of moment than this. You know what I mean? There's no more moment than this. So, yeah. Anyways, showing off my 5th secret toggle. This is it. The finger moves on its own. Because this is how I feel about this. No. Simply no. Yeah. Anyways, that's my reaction to that. Maybe don't kiss strangers in public and grab them like that. That's kind of assault, actually. That's kind of what people colloquially call assault. Yeah, shock. That's about right. What do you mean, yay? What do you mean, yay? Yay, assault? I wish I had a more disgusted expression I could put on the model, because that's me right now. Sorry, I had to let that one out. What is it? Like I farted? Fuck my nuts. Oh, great! Oh, amazing! Oh, my favorite! An info dump! Yay! Yay! Oh, wow! It was so sad when the plot didn't open with with an info dump with like pages upon pages of dialogue. I was wrought with despair. It was like someone had brought pain and suffering and the plague of suffering upon me. What the fuck? This is the first time like actually interacting. What the fuck? Whoa. This is like beyond forward. What the fuck? Stop! What do you have with his teeth? I instinctively knew I could not deny her. Whoa! Hold up. Hold up. That's No, the story just keeps getting worse and worse. Oh, it just keeps getting worse and worse. Wow. I was infatuated by her desire. Oh, what? Wow, a match made in hell. Wow, both of them are fucking disgusting. Wow, lovely. She's worse, though. Well, I mean, we've seen more of her, so she's gotten more time to be worse. Ariana asks her dad to be the one to bestow some sort of medal to Duke Phantom Hive for his service in the recently ended war, even though this is unprecedented, which her brother with a stupid name points out. The Emperor just agrees. Because of course he does! When doing the honors, she asks the Duke to meet her later, then kisses him, without knowing him, without consent, in front of what's basically the entire empire. For some reason, people are like enchanted by the romance of such an act. When the Duke shows up at night at her castle or whatever, she just comes onto him hard. And yet he finds her horniness like beguiling, okay? Yeah, because he just shows up and she just like basically jumps him And like, it all works, because, yeah, why, why not? So he accepts to become her plaything, and wear a collar for her. Yep. Yep. And this is a trend with all of her quote-unquote, like, jewels. Men just immediately fall in love with her and agree to be her, what I cannot describe as anything but slaves. So apparently, you know, every man in this story has the same taste in appearances, and it happens to be Ariana, and nobody cares about anything but appearances. So, you know, that's fun, I guess. And, you know, she says the most insane shit, not just out loud, but directly to her victims. And they find it great. They just go along with it. They just choose to join her harem, and none of them seem to take issue with her enslaving other people. And, you know, my biggest issue in all of this story isn't even Ariana's behavior, but the characters and story's reaction to it. If she had threatened, manipulated, or even convinced people with a plan, or like by gaining their trust over time, the story would be literally infinitely better. It's not even just the love interests that go with everything she says or wants. Even the leaders of other nations seem like completely infatuated with her.
Yeah, of course, wear armor that protects like almost nothing. That sure is helpful.
Oh, is he now? It's literally a rendezvous. It is a meeting. What we trying to be cheeky for, N.A.? An off-the-shoulder gown. You own nothing but off-the-shoulder gowns. You actually own nothing else. Princess's Hound. Okay. Wow. Oh, this keeps getting worse. Oh, wow. Why? You didn't dehumanize this character enough. Apparently she manages, which is mentioned, like, in passing, you know? She's managed to collect her, quote-unquote, 5 jewels in 1 year. However, it takes her 6 months to team up with one guy. How is she supposed to travel through multiple nations when half her time is up? When they get to the second nation, Zek, the second prince, you know, the one she's after, hears others talk about her beauty. He decides to seek her out, where she's conveniently having a drink on the balcony. By the way, she wears the same dress in all the panels in Zek, so I guess everything, it all happened in one day. She's rude as hell to him, because she thinks he's just some guy, which is very telling of her character. For some reason, this makes Ifrit, I forgot how I was saying it. Ifrit. I'm just gonna go with Ifrit, I guess. For some reason, this makes Ifrit fall for her on the spot. And instead of revealing his identity to her then and there, because he's been apparently wearing a mask for like his whole life, he waits until like 5 minutes later. You know, he has to pull up to this like ball type event and profess his love to her and take off his mask. He can't just like talk to her on the balcony one-on-one. No. He has to pull up to this like ball type thing and profess. And they've met like 2 seconds ago and shared like 3 words, and she was rude as hell, but for some reason he likes that. Anyways, so then they basically just like start acting as if they've known each other for months or years instead of like minutes. You know, and this place just like agrees to part with a prince who apparently they describe as playing a critical role in their military. Hair like molten platinum, and eyes the color of dewy amethyst! Damn, they did him so dirty with that haircut. Also, oh, he's so buff compared. They haven't actually made him like that buff compared to the other guy. Like, he looks equally as buff. But that's because a lot of comics are afraid to deviate from what is very much like the beauty standard. And they don't want to make people look old. They don't want to make people look
like, you know what I mean, like, they just, to come into my jewelry box. What is it with these people? Oh my god.
So later that same day, they're having tea and they're all buddy-buddy, as if they've known each other for forever. They then decide to go for the very important, this is like emphasized, General of Darhan. Darhan? So, Han is the trusted General of Darhan. Not my words, okay? A confidant of the king and queen who would risk his life for them. He owes them his life, you know? He's very, very dedicated. He's described as an important military figure. He's also described as, like, artsy and mysterious, and hot, but, like... And for some reason, you know, probably just to, like, flex the epic powers of the main character, she just, like, attacks him. She just, like, pulls out a sword magically out of her thigh and, like, attacks him. And doesn't really explain why. She doesn't say, like, why she attacked him. They're just like, oh, apparently you're collecting guys. And she's like, yeah. Still doesn't say why you would fight him instead of just being like, hey, you want to join my crew? And, you know, seemingly he's, like, the first sane character we're actually witnessing in this story because he denies her. He's like, hey, I can't just leave my country for you because you want me, you know? I'm sorry. But then, of course, the princess insists because she can't take no as an answer, because of course. No, of course. Like, what does no even mean but ask more until I say yes, you know what I mean? So, don't do that. But she just keeps on insisting. So eventually, he's like, okay, well, you know, if you can beat me in one move, a singular move, okay? One move, then I'll consider joining you. Consider, okay? Take note. One move and consider. Very important choice of words here. Note that he doesn't say he will join her. He says he'll consider it. Okay? She does not beat him in one move. In fact, they parry and attack and whatever, like, multiple times. Let us count the moves. Yeah, that sure is more than one move, huh? She does not beat him in one move. Instead, they share at least, like, 3. She's sweating, seemingly struggling, and she notices he isn't even giving it his all, yet somehow she quote-unquote wins. To me, his actions read as someone who is not in a position to outright deny a princess, but is clearly not interested. He makes it clear that his loyalties lie with his home, which makes a lot of sense because he doesn't know her, but he knows his home and the king and the queen. Okay? But that motivates the princess even more because he's so loyal and so attractive. This damn lady cannot take no as an answer. Yet after completely disregarding the rules of his agreement, you know, she quote unquote wins, whatever, and now he's hers. And for some reason, nobody opposes this. The royals are just like, yeah, you can just, like, take her, general. And he doesn't oppose this either. I don't want to leave and go with this lady I don't know, you know, like, don't follow strangers. Don't take candies from strange vans, you know, the classics. Nobody seems to care. And because she's so gracious, she's like, well, you know what, you're so loyal, you can, like, take your time to say your goodbyes, and you just come whenever you want. If I was him, I would just stay forever. I would stay forever. I would just never go back. What is this melody?
Like, maybe the story would have been more decent if they weren't so rushed to, like, get to the point where she's quote-unquote collected all her jewels. And actually, like, took time to, like, explore the different nations and stuff. Like, different places in the land, people's different cultures. Could be more interesting. But they're just, like, zooming by what could be interesting to, like, I don't know, fucking expand her harem, I guess. It's absolutely mental, Annie. Yes, deny this rabid woman. According to the rumors, you've been collecting men to achieve your goals, and he's considering it. It's not like this is like join my polyamorous relationship. Like, no, enter what is like for lack of a better description, glorified slavery? You know, not to make light of slavery, but it's like, isn't that low-key what she's doing? She's just like enslaving men. Bro said no. Like, he literally said no. Can't we just like accept that he said no? Like, it's one thing to be dedicated, it's another to be a freak.
You know what pisses me off so much? And I'm probably gonna mention this again because it pisses me off so much. He was like, if you can beat me in one shot, I'll consider it. She didn't beat him in one shot, it took multiple moves. And he didn't say he would do it, but that's what she assumed. As soon as as she quote unquote beat him by not the rules that he established, she was like, well, now you're mine. And he just accepts to leave everything he's ever known behind, but he's supposed to be a loyal, and he just leaves voluntarily. No opposition, no nothing about the fact that this woman has kind of forced me to, nothing. To return to me in Arbacella. Don't. Stay as long as you wish, stay there for eternity, actually. If I were him, the only way you would see my ass in Arbacella would be in a casket. This gives me the same feeling as like when you're a kid and you see your parents do like light PDA, like they'll just like kiss on the mouth. Not like a make out, just kiss. They'll just go like, and you're like, like this is the same internal reaction it's giving me, and I'm making a big effort not to be obnoxious about it. Then she decides to go to the next nation, Galdion. Galdion. Okay, so this random guy suggests that Raymond Amber, one of the guys that's gonna join the Gooners, I don't really know his position, to be honest. Like, I've tried looking. I think he's like loosely tied to royalty. I don't really know. But anyways, so the random guy suggests that Raymond seduces the princess during her visit. First he protests, but like within 3 panels he does a complete 180 and is totally on board. He's meant to be like a charming and cunning guy, but Ariana is hot and resists his advances, so he immediately falls for her. Hard enough to kiss her foot in public. The king of Galdian, some dumbass named Raul Gold Blackrose, is all over her too. She decides to call Raymond Lemon from now on, even though he looks more like khaki green type of, you know what I mean? Whatever. So she decides to call Raymond Lemon from now on, and she's on her merry old way back to Arbacella with another one of the Gooners. Gold Blackrose? No. Raw Gold Blackrose. Most people don't address people directly once they're already engaged in conversation. They'll say you, or if it's like someone of a high position, use a title, I guess. Like Professor, Your Majesty, Your Grace, Your Excellence, Doctor, but not... Well, yes, indeed, I'm glad you agree. The first prince of the land from in between your mother's ass crack, but inside the bed bugs of the one place. Like, stop, who cares? Okay? We don't even need to know who these people are, because you know what's gonna happen in like 2 episodes, we're not even gonna see him again. Also, upon thought, I think her harem, quote unquote, should actually just be called Gooners, because they are being used. They're like, she uses them like goons, like the henchmen of a villain, and she's a villain. Like, I feel like there's no, we can all agree, correct? So she's a villain, and they're like her goons, but they're also simps for her, so they're like Gooners, you know what I mean? So, just Gooners. You've heard that the princess has been collecting men who are blessed with talent and beauty. Okay. These people don't want her to be empress because she's a woman. Yet they're fine with a woman wearing, because clearly misogyny exists in a way that is similar enough to the real world. But nobody has an issue with her dressing revealingly or, you know, freaking off with guys pre-wedding and not being married. and not having kids and having a harem. They don't even want her to be empress. You think they're gonna want her to have a harem pre-empress? Apparently only the emperor slash empress can have a harem, and she's not that, so they would probably be opposed even if she was a man. But especially since she's a woman, you would think at least one person from a country would have an objection, be like, hey, maybe we stop this mad woman from dehumanizing, objectifying, and you know what, I'm just gonna end it there. And also, if they're so conservative, most comics, even ones that don't really have these sort of political, diplomatic powers interacting themes, will have men be jealous when the woman is like friends with another guy, like childhood friends, see each other as siblings. So you're telling me that none of them would have an issue with it? It's not like this is a polyamorous relationship either. They're not dating each other. They're all just dating her. And how much time would she really have to dedicate to each of them? You know what I mean? So you're telling me they wouldn't grow resentful and be like, hey, you keep spending time with... Like, you're telling me if she spent a bunch of time with this guy, they wouldn't be like, hey, what about me? Maybe not say it, but think it. Like... Stop. It's like the ultimate like self-insert trying to be perfect, like Mary Sue. Okay. Also, there's magic, but they just don't talk about it. They just mention it once time, like, oh, you dyed your hair gold. Oh, I'm pulling out a sword from my thigh. Let's never mention that again. I feel like that would be pretty relevant if magic was there and like that easily accessible. Like, I feel like that would be relevant in someone's plans. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because it's definitely, yep, you know, as someone who was born in and has lived all my life in Canada, this is totally what you want to do when it's cold out. I put on my like thickest jacket, but I make sure to wear nothing over the top of my chest, and the thinnest gloves on my hands, and nothing to warm my head. That way I can like get freezer burn in the most inconvenient places. Why do you have a fan? You're literally in the winter land place. Oh my god. Yeah, of course. No, of course everyone sees her. They just immediately like she's, oh my god, like, oh. Because no one on this goddamn planet, apparently, in this comic cares about anything but looks. So, like, as long as you look hot enough, you can just do whatever. You see, actually, you could, if only I were king, if you're not married already, you could. You know, a union between a princess of a kingdom and a king of another makes a lot more sense than what she's doing. Oh, my favorite verb sound effects. Wow. No, you know what? I thought he was eating her hair like spaghetti. Thank the Lord, they let me know. It was a kiss. How many pounds of extensions is she wearing? The weight of the crown I wear. I don't think it's a crown. I think it's the hair, girly. I think it's the hair. Well, she's literally just giving you a blank look, you know? I'll do it too. Wow, isn't that so crazy? When I'm gonna look at myself editing, might just fall for me. You know, I might just fall from my ass. Okay. I'm gonna complain about her boobs again. I'm sorry, but it must be done. I've seen it in other comics, and especially this one, you know, I'll put my money where my mouth is, and I'll make a tutorial. Here, as promised, is my titty tutorial. My tutorial. Yeah, that was so smooth. Let's go, me. Like, what's holding up her titties? Like, gravity is a thing, right? It would pull down. bigger and heavier they are, something is, the more it gets pulled by gravity. Therefore, that shape, especially with nothing to support it, no straps, no nothing, doesn't work. Naturally, they go like down from gravity and further apart, like that, you know? You're supposed to have like a little, like a gap, because unless there's something pushing them together, they don't usually, generally, right? I'm not the titty expert, okay? Well, I'm talking generals, right? Here is more the type of shape you would expect, you know, pulled down and to the side, but unless there's something, you know, stopping that, because yeah, gravity, okay? Gravity, guys. Right? If you've got support under or over, then it's a different story. Then the shape she's got going is achievable. So, going back. They're not holding space. They're taking up the space that should be between them. And they're defying gravity. So, they're not even holding space for defying gravity. A shame. Anyways. So, you know. Very simply put, right? This is just kind of basic tutorial. Now, if you do have, like, straps, you can, you know, straps were, like, under support or whatever. But, try to do this without being, like, too descriptive, but still informing. Because I'm like, if I'm gonna be complaining about this, I should at least offer the solution, right? So, if you got, like, example, like a bikini or something, that can push them in, therefore they are not holding space, and they are defying gravity. I'm sorry. Okay, I gotta stop. Okay? No more. Right, so if you've got something that has the strength, obviously, if you put obviously, if you put, like, I don't know, 2 HP printers on a piece of wool. Okay, I don't know what's wrong with me. What was that? Anyways, basically, you just need something strong enough to support the weight and push, give the lift, right? Otherwise, you don't get cleavage like that. And that's just not how it works. Right? So, little recap. They should be like that, unless they got something to help them defy gravity, you know what I mean? So, yeah, I don't know how helpful this is. I'm just trying to explain, like, what my main issue is, right? But like, I get that some of her outfits are gonna show places. That's normal. People have bodies, they will be seen. However, isn't it a little bit weird how they're just sexualizing her? That's not girl boss girl power. That's just sexualizing her. What the fuck? What? Tongues are not that small. I was thinking like something like teeny, like a ring, or like, I don't know, a trinket. And why is everyone clapping? Why is it that when strangers clap, people are encouraging? Also, they just wanted to kiss him. Clearly jealousy is a thing, right? In this place, we've witnessed it. Exhibit B. Exhibit A was like the prince from the First Nation they visited with red hair and his brother. But the second exhibit is this. A king called Black Rose. And this motherfucker Raymond, I think he's called, are jealous of each other with her. But you're telling me none of these women, they're all like, wow, so epic.
What the fuck?
What? What?
You know what? This might be the first time I'm actually rooting for them. How about you date this insane fucker? How about you date this insane gooner and let all the other men return to their lives, because clearly this guy has nothing better to do and he is just as freaking weird as you are. The fuck? Why? What is wrong with literally everyone in this story? Why is he so happy she was there for his ass in the first place? I am genuinely so upset by this. Why do they always get... Like, I might be looking too much into things, but why do they always give the black character? Right? But the only black man is the one with the animal parts. It's a little bit strange. It's a little bit suspicious. You know, you could say I'm looking further into it. Right now there has been... Well, he's the only one who wears a goddamn collar too. Isn't that weird? Am I looking into this too much, or is that weird? Also, you think he just has a hole in his pants and at the back for the tail to come out if it suddenly appears like this? I'm just wondering. My fourth lemon. What the Sounds like a name I would have given one of my webkins when I was in kindergarten. What the hell, bro? For reference, I named one of my webkins that was a cat Princess, and I named one that was a pig Butterfly. So, yep, that's... Okay, so they do get jealous, clearly. So, like, what's the... Clearly this is gonna cause issues down the line. If they're jealous, why would they suggest more people for her to date? Wouldn't they be like, oh, well, I can take care of that, instead, like, try to, you know, do more for her, you know? Lick her feet, again, in the case of one of them. Or there are also people who would be willing and just do their job and not be involved with you. Right? Having intimate relationships with people you work with leads to issues and conflict. That's why people separate those things. Just like how people separate state and church, because when they're not, it causes issues. Things that should be separate so they don't influence each other in ways you don't want them to. Her next victim is the son of a noble called Jade Mildia. Unlike the others, it's predetermined that he won't fall for her on sight like the others. They had to knock off France and concoct a plan that is so beyond devilish. Can you guess what Ariana does? It's not making an agreement with Jade, nor is it appealing to him over time. Put in your bets, okay? I'll give you a couple options. A, dance. B, fake an injury. C, threaten to start a war. Well, whichever you answer, that's correct. They're all correct. Ariana starts dancing on the streets because of course she can dance. Some guy with an ominous stare reports to supervillain odd-looking noble, who is Jade's dad. He shows up and he's like, you're one beautiful wench. How about you return with me to the tavern? Okay, well, he doesn't speak like that, but, you know, whatever. You get like the lines. He's like, how about you return with me to my mansion and you'll live a great life? Which is like, you know. Actually, you treat women like toys, and that's disgusting. And you just use them for sex, and it's like, take a look in the mirror. Be so for real, okay? That's literally what you do, but with men. You do the same thing. But for some reason, he's gross and you're not? No, you're also hella disgusting. Yeah. Gross. Nasty, okay? Both of you.
both of you are gross. And he suddenly like goes for her. He's gonna slap her because she's being like all insolent or whatever, and she just like launches him into the wall. Who cares? And then she's like, you're gonna be in trouble because I'm actually a princess. And he is in trouble indeed because she's actually just mento innate. Oh, because she knows how to dance, of course. Yeah, no, of course. And you're telling me that this is not gonna cause any issue when you're actually just dancing? You're swinging around, you're spinning? Okay, no. Okay, no. Ugh. How bad can I be? I'm just doing what comes naturally. Type fit, you know? So tired from all the dancing. Apparently you have like forever stamina to fight with swords and travel multiple countries and bone multiple men. So again, it's another thing. Werewolves apparently exist. Never touched on. They just brush it. Stop introducing things that are irrelevant to the story. If it has no relevance to the story, cut it. Oh, is this what they're— oh, you came and you did that, now you owe us time to give me your son, unless you want me to, like, start a war and kill you, because that's even worse, actually. Because that's actually just even worse. No, they're actually doing what I mentioned earlier, like, if they did that, but they're not gonna frame her as a villain, no. That's the issue, like, make her do bad stuff. So that way it makes sense that you receive these outcomes, but don't paint her as being good, right? Protagonist of stories, so the main character that you follow, doesn't have to be good. A lot of times people are like, oh, I want them to be good, you know, so you root for them, but you can also follow them so you can root for their downfall. Like, follow this person and be like, holy shit, I want to see you go. You know? And like, some people will probably take their side, like, think of like Light Yagami by Death Note. A lot of people were probably watching to be like, so they're like, oh, when is L gonna take down Light? Right? The following day, they have like some sort of audience, I guess. She's sitting on a throne for some reason. We don't— instead of, you know, the rulers of the nation being on the throne, she's just on a throne for some reason. And she decides, she's like, well, you know, unless you want me to start a war over this, you're gonna have to do what I want. Not off to a great start. So her demands are: replace that nasty noble with his daughter, which is Jade's sister. That request is the only reasonable one of the bunch. Second one, castrate him. Forced sterilization. Look, I don't like this guy as much as the next person, right? But like, that's some very dangerous territory to be treading into. Like, very dangerous, okay? I think it's supposed to be like funny, but they actually just castrate him against his will. Yeah. So her final request is basically for Jade to become her slave. He has to go with her. They sell him to her because she threatens to start a war if they don't. I can't even begin to process how disgusting that is. And it's— the issue with this is they could have had her do this sort of thing, but they shouldn't have framed her in such like a positive light. People in the comic do actions that are very similar to hers, but for some reason, when they do it, it's gross, and when she does it, it's not. She's a villain. Treat her as the villain that she is, and then she can be doing these things. A lot of stuff in media depends on context and framing. You can have certain things happen, just frame it in a way that is appropriate. Obviously, Jade doesn't want to go with her. Makes sense, but since we've seen that that prologue, we all know this is gonna lead absolutely nowhere. And he's gonna protest, sure, but he's gonna end up being one of the gooners still. So, a character that could have been interesting and was a lot more logical and sane seeming than the others, thrown in the garbage.
Yep. He is clearly, he doesn't want to! Okay. Oh, this is worse. This is even worse. You know, I thought the third guy was like my least favorite of the quote-unquote collection. Also, what the fuck is this? He seems to be sane. Unfortunately, we've all seen the prologue and we know where this is gonna go. He could have been the only one, right? Like, if he had like tried to resist this and not just like suddenly like fell for her, that's the issue. Like, she's doing these horrible things, nobody treats it as horrible, and it's all gonna be swept under the rug. We're not gonna talk about it in like 2 seconds. This is what I was expecting her to do with all the others. My main issue isn't that she's horrible, because she is. It's more that there were no consequences to her actions. Like, not at all. Not even consequences that she, like, even though, like, they don't have to, like, completely ruin her plan in her life and whatever, but, like, at least something, you know? Like, there's some consequence, like, you resist and you have to deal with him trying to, like, you know, stab you in the back, like, right under your nose or whatever, you know? Like, there's nothing. There's nothing. There are no costs and there are no consequences, which makes everything meaningless. I didn't think he'd hate it so much. Oh my god. Oh my god. Like, I need people to, look, I'm not usually one for tooting my own horn, you know, sniffing my own farts, but, like, I need people to tell me that I'm not tripping. Like, I need this, okay? I need people to be like, no, this is actually insane. Yep, it sure is, because... Oh, okay, never mind. I thought he was gonna be upset about, you know... her forcing him to become her slave? But no. He's just upset that she used herself as bait. Okay. Never mind. Hopes are quashed. Oh my god. This woman is horrible. She's actually worse than any villain I've seen in a story, I think. That brat? What do you mean, that brat? He's in his right to be pissed. You just sold him. You have actually sold your brother. Ugh. If she had gotten her first guy and continued on her Delulu behavior only to be very quickly humbled by all the others, this story could have been so much more interesting. See, this has potential. However, it's not gonna stick because they showed us that first scene, which, by the way, is ass. It destroys any chance of suspense this story had. Like, any chance, because we all know they're all gonna end up being her gooners, okay? Also, sorry for any weird mic noises, because of my filming setup. Strange to say, considering you don't see my face directly, but still. I have to hold my mic, and it's not on the stand because of that. You can hear it when I, like, move it, because I don't have an arm to hold it, so I just have the thing it came with. Oh, they actually did it. Oh, they actually did it. Was that supposed to be funny? You know what? I'm gonna end it here. I've seen all I need to see. I've seen all I need to see. There is no way she can be redeemed. Right? There is absolutely no way to make up for what she's done. None. So, doesn't matter. I could keep reading. It's not gonna get any better because there is no way to salvage this. Also, how has she achieved basically her main goal in 10 episodes? What the frick is in the rest of the 40 that warranted their existence? From then on, I stopped reading every chapter. I just skimmed through them because I could not afford, I could no longer force myself to give full attention to this comic. I just couldn't. So I skimmed through all of them, and when there was something that stuck out to me, I would go back and look in closer detail at the context. So we can do a little speed round of some arcs,
in the story. First one is Aphra jealousy arc. So for a few episodes, that's the main focus. He just gets really jealous of everyone else in her harem. He even gets violent about it, but like eventually just goes away. All of them have been showing some level of jealousy, except Jade, but Aphra takes it to like another level. So Aphra has a jealousy arc. It's basically never brought up after those couple of episodes. What's the resolution? She still likes him even though she's fucking other guys, I guess. Then we got a fat phobic arc. Yay! And it's not that surprising in a webtoon of this context. That's not an excuse, by the way. So, earlier in the story, there was a very brief mention of Ariana's fiance with an egregious name. Take a look at this. What is this? What is this? Turns out her fiance is, fat, which is like the biggest crime he could commit. And he wears ugly clothes to this event. And he shows up. So, you know, she likes pretty people, so like he has to lose weight and therefore skin equal pretty, you know? So, next up we got the Jade Stalker era. So, there's this random... She's like a noble's daughter from Arbozella, but she's for some reason like always just hanging around the castle. I don't know. And she is obsessed with Jade. Now, they tried to make her really creepy, as you may notice. They tried to show her, to make her, like, write her as very creepy. However, her actions are really not that much worse than Ariana's. She does take it a step further. But don't get me wrong, both of them are horrible. Again, she plays a lot of a holier than thou type of role. It's just like Jade's dad, where she's like, "Oh, you're so horrible for doing this." And yes, he is horrible for doing that. And yes, Lena, the Jade stalker, is also horrible for doing that. But you know who else is horrible for doing that? Ariana. So, you know. Maybe we get off our high horses and we do a little bit of introspection, you know? Maybe just like an afternoon instead of, you know how people are like, "Oh, brain rot nowadays, TikTok's burning all over." That's her with her magazines, for real. Because like she needs to like put down stuff and have a thought once in a while beyond penis, you know what I mean? But story continues, you know, this stalking and obsessive behavior increases until it reaches a climax where they find Jade's corpse. Well, it's not really his corpse. I'm not going to keep you in suspense. It's not actually his corpse. They use magic to disguise it, which I don't know what the point of was because it tricked them for like 0.1 second. It did like nothing. Why waste magic to do that? You know what I mean? But Lena, the stalker, has kidnapped Jade and organized for a fake body to be put, so they think he's dead. She brings him to her place, I assume. It's not, like, directly mentioned as far as I know. I assume it's her bedroom. And she drugs him and essays him. Because that needed to be in the story. Wow, yep. Yeah, but Ariana's his savior, guys, okay? And she personally sees that Lena is tortured. And that totally makes up for everything. But this event brings up trauma for Jade. And also is traumatic, so like, yeah, he's not doing well, you know? While they're busy torturing the girl, he's just like out here suffering. This Lena arc is brought to a close when Ariana visits Lena in the dungeons. And Lena's like, "Hey, you're not even that different from me. You forced him to come here. You have enslaved him. We're not that different after all." And the only defense that Ariana has is, "Well, I didn't break the law." There's a lot of these things that I'm putting off, but I just want to like mostly tell you the events and then we can talk about it. Jade finally gets to go back to Marlow, which is knockoff France. And for some reason, I guess the other empire is so close, they just go for a joy boat ride. They go all of them. That's another thing that pisses me off about this comic. There are a lot, if you didn't notice, but they never take travel time into account. Nowadays, it's pretty quick to travel, right? We've got planes, we've got trains, we've got cars, we've got trucks. Having sex. No. But back then, it was like, you walk there, or you take a horse or a carriage or a boat. None of those are quick. And nations tend to be pretty big, so usually they take quite a while to cross. However, it's almost like they just teleport to other nations. No time has elapsed. In fact, it's so quick, they have time to all 5 of them go to bring Jade home. Unnecessary, plus I doubt he wants to see your asses. Leave the poor man alone. Then we get another arc, because I guess they're just all getting their arcs now. One by one. There are rumors about Han, and like, they're not that addressed by the time the season ends. They're just like, he's so emo and broody lately. And you want to know what the rumors are? He became a general by fucking men. That's the rumor. I'm not even kidding. That he became general of the nation of Darhan by boning men. For real. I am not even kidding. I'll show you here. But again, we gotta go back to torture poor Jade, because man cannot catch a break since he's joined the story. And apparently there's this rose hip drug. It's what it's called, the rose hip drug. Because every drug ever out there, you know, like the ketamine drug, the cocaine drug, they all have to have drug in their name. Sure, whatever. Because this drug is spreading all over the place, apparently even nobles are using it, they need the princess of another nation to take care of it. So Jade has to go back to Arbazella and see the woman who has enslaved him. And his sister was like, yeah, we have no choice. The sister couldn't go alone and just ask for like help diplomatically, as like people will ask, you know, like, oh, can you support me in this war? Can you support me in this? No. He has to go. And what the fuck is the princess gonna do? They're not asking the emperor, they're asking the princess. What's she gonna do? Take all the drugs herself so they can't do them? Like, Jade doesn't even get to stay 2 weeks. 15 days he gets to stay. 15 days in his home, and he has to go back. Wow, I'm sure he's totally recovered from his trauma. Lucky for us, the fat phobia arc has a sequel. Let's go. And apparently bro lost all of his weight in 2 weeks. And now he's hot because he's lost weight in like 2 weeks. He wouldn't be looking hot if he did manage to do that. He would be like in a hospital. That is not healthy. But they have this like conversation, I guess. And she calls herself like a hypocrite, like, oh, I bet you think I'm a hypocrite because now I'm talking to you and I'm defending you now that you're skinny. You are. She doesn't even like refute that. Her fiance does. He excuses her actions himself. He defends her. Like, oh, people are fickle, and oh, I heard you were made a laughing stock because of me at the buffet. And he like feels bad for her. What kind of like, she's not the victim here. She is not the victim here. On a side note, sure hope that safe sex is a thing in that story because many reasons. Also, she fucks her fiance now, because why not? To make it very clear, I have no issue with people having sex with multiple people. Don't do it like her. You know what I mean? Just like, my issue is not with the thing as a whole, it's with her specifically. The season ends with the emperor passing out because of this concubine that I have not mentioned that much. There's a red one called Rose whatever that likes causing a lot of trouble, and it's, yeah, she's the reason he passes out or dies. Unknown. That's like the cliffhanger. So, now that we've gone over the events of the princess's jewels, the princess's nutsack, I'm not gonna stop with that. Let's go over my main issues. And you've probably, you know, the astute amongst you have probably realized a lot of my issues as we've gone through the story. But I'm gonna reiterate and I'm gonna add to that, okay? So, first and foremost, the biggest one. There are no stakes, no consequences, and no costs. that means nothing ever has any meaning. Usually you want things to be an effort to achieve, right? You need to work to achieve them. It can be a little bit of work, it could be a lot of work, but usually there's some sort of obstacles, some sort of stakes, like if you don't do this, this is gonna happen. Driving force. After that, there needs to be consequences for her actions. Sometimes byproducts of actions can be good, but they can also be bad, especially when you behave like she does. And like I said, no stakes kind of goes with no cost. There is no stakes, there is no cost. She could just get whatever she wants, when she wants, how she wants. There are rarely ever obstacles that mean anything. Furthermore, I thought originally a story was gonna maybe like depict her as a villain, and we follow a villain, which has been done. Sometimes it's done like very well. They don't do that. They just paint her as great. Other people will do the same thing that she does, and when they do it, it's considered bad. But as soon as she does it, well, it's all fine and dandy. Which is a problem. There are consequences for other people, but not for her. Like, one of the guys behaved a little bit like her, and he literally got castrated. On the topic of harem, I've mentioned jealousy before, but like, there would be issues with that. No, if they're really conservative, wouldn't they have more to say? Like, her brother brings it up once, I think, but nothing's done about it. Like, nobody else cares. Her dad's apparently so hung up on the fact that she'll like kiss a guy in public, but he's fine with her having a harem. I feel like, again, there should be consequences attached to this. Yeah, you want to do your thing, but other things aren't gonna happen because of the actions you take. That's usually how stories go, if you want them to have any sort of meaning. So, on top of that, people seem to be conservative. Sexism exists in canon, in that world, in a way that is pretty similar to our world. Yet, besides the evil lord calling her a wench, Jade's dad calling her a wench on the when she's dancing or whatever, never is she shamed for dating multiple men, especially before marriage, while being fiancé with someone, you know, being engaged to someone else. Nothing about her clothing, about her actions. They don't want her to be strong and be an empress, but nobody cares that she's very powerful and can do all these. Like, it feels like there would be more pushback. But again, that links back to there are no consequences. Stop. Okay, you need to give your actions some sort of weight. When something happens, there's a chain of events. So they're just, there is no, she is incredibly manipulative, self-serving. She uses people, and she is shallow, which I don't tend to like that word because there's a lot of implications with it. But I feel like it's the only way to really describe what I mean. Like, she is shallow as a character, like she does not really have any depth. And there are points where it almost seems like she could have some sort of depth and where some possible story could show up, but it's quickly brushed aside. Like, there's this one point where it mentions, oh, my brother died, and like, my dad has a concubine, and like, this concubine is the reason my brother died, and like, all of this stuff, and it's like, okay, there could be something here, but like, I feel like this could have been more involved in prohibiting her from getting her harem, right? This concubine could have been like, hey, I don't want her to gain power. I want my son to be a ruler. So let me stop her from building her harem. Let me get in the way, you know? Like, the harem should have been the ultimate goal, not completed within 10 episodes. You know what I'm saying? Up next, the topic of enslaving people, right? This whole plot kind of has the same vibes and obviously it's just a story, so it's not as horrible as that argument, which is false, by the way. Let me say before I even say this argument, very much false. But people who will use the argument that like, oh, well, slavery wasn't that bad, and like, some of them even liked it, which is insane of an argument to make, but it feels like that's the case that this story's pleading, because that's basically what's happening. She is using them. She is enslaving these men. And it's like, oh, but they like it. Yeah, but they like it.
Mm. And beyond that, it dehumanizes them so much. Right? I think the worst victim of this is probably Duke Phantom, the first guy. Which, strangely enough, you know, not only is he like part animal, and like Efrit also is like part animal, but like when he's like half transformed, he only has wings. He doesn't have like the head of an animal or like ears or a beak or whatever. Like he'll only have like wings, and it's rare. It takes a good while before that shows up in the story. But for him, he calls him a wolf and like a beast. And they call him the princess's hound. And she makes him wear a collar. It's a little bit strange. And you know, it's especially strange that they chose to do this for the only black man of the harem. Really not a fan of that choice. It leaves a lot to be desired, and there could be an argument that I'm looking too much into it, but you can't separate real life from a story entirely, right? People are going to come in with preconceptions, they're going to come in with experiences and knowledge of real life, and that's going to impact how they receive whatever you're putting out there. And obviously you can't, you know, appeal to everyone, but there are still like bigger things I feel like should be, you know, kept into consideration maybe. Next, the fat phobia. I don't know what to say except like show you these panels specifically. They had me agape. I didn't really know what to say, to be honest, actually. They call him a pig. They call him tacky, gaudy, ugly. The one character that's like canon really ugly is the fat one. And he's like the only fat character we see in the story, by the way. They call him a piggy. They compare him to an actual animal that they made up, a made-up animal. They made up an animal to be fatphobic. Wow. They say that he looks like a clown. Okay, and the final big thing that I want to bring up is possibly the most disturbing. And it has to do with the story, yes, but also the Empire, right? It's shown as like a good place. They're shown as good guys, the Empire, right? The Emperor's a good guy. Ariana's a good person, you know? However, they are they're a little bit reminiscent of a certain group of people that kind of came to a rise in World War II and really liked eugenics. At first, I was like, that's a little bit strange, but there is just more and more. So, forced sterilization, first of all, let me get that one out of the way. Very, very noticeable and important link historically to eugenics. Oh, I don't like you, so you can't have kids? That's dubious, to say the least. That's, yeah. Second of all, what's this? This whole setup's giving, you know, but especially this. This is giving Elon's little awkward gesture, you know? It's giving Elon got a little too frisky and a little too excited, and he, you know, his hand slipped, like, you know, he just made a little, yeah. And also, they use concepts of purity, especially in regards of appearance. When she sees Han, at some point, she comments on the purity of his beauty. Yeah, yeah. That's, yeah, no, that's, no, that's, yeah, definitely no issues with that whatsoever, no? No. So, yeah. I'll just leave, you know, I'll let you form your own opinions, but, like, it's a little suspicious that it would come up so many times. One more point. Jade. Same with Han, but even more so with Jade, they actually give a little bit of depth to his character, and had he actually not just been like, awooga to Ariana, which he starts doing, by the way, but he's like, no. But, like, we know how the story, even though it's not written, we know how it's gonna end because we got the prologue, which is the future. So we know he's gonna end up falling for her, even after all of this. If he hadn't, or if he was pretending, same with Han, right? If they were just pretending because they had to be there to avoid, like, nation conflict, that would be a different story. Now, an even speedier speedrun, okay? Even flashier flash round. I just got a couple of things to mention. They gotta stop glazing Ariana all the fucking time. Like, literally all the time. Every character ever is glazing Ariana. 2, names. What is wrong with the names in this goddamn story? 3, this specific frame. Me when I got your nose. Toddlers when you're playing with them and you got their nose. This next section, I saved pictures and I just titled them Yuck and then numbered them. So, I'll just show these off real quick. Yuck 1, Yuck 2. Now, in another story, maybe I would brush these off and just be like, they're not for me, but in this story, in this context, nasty. Hate it. Why is she actually just, like, vibrating on her damn chair? Whatever this is. Also, don't even get me into the idea of, like, sex being primal, something that you have to fight and resist. Your sex drive, you need to resist it, and, like, it's primal. Like, why does he have animal parts, like, almost every time they, get freaky? This, whatever this is, why does every man she bones have to have a 6-pack? Or like an 8 or 12 or 24-pack, you know what I mean? What happened to body types? Flashback to me in the past being like, oh, some comics don't, they don't want to draw people who are outside of conventional beauty standards, so older of different body types, all of that. Yeah, that's only been proven more and more true as time has gone on. So, what are my thoughts about this story? Well, let's do a little recap. So, Ariana decides that she wants to be Empress to have a harem. And to become Empress so she can have her harem, she decides to have a harem. Where's the logic? Couldn't tell you. So then she decides to collect men, which is dehumanizing and dubious enough as is, but she does it through various disgusting methods. Or just what I cannot consider anything but plot holes. Or just unskilled writing. And then there's just a bunch of random shit that happens as they get more and more obsessed with her, because, well, actually, it's fun being enslaved. Okay? No. That's my entire thought, right? The other stories I've read, they're not great, but a lot of them feel reparable. Like, they're not completely unsalvageable, right? A lot of the issues beyond, maybe a little bit of, except the stuff that's the little bit that might be, like, ethically questionable, most of it just comes down to bad writing. But this one, it literally has nothing to save it. This one was, well, I didn't feel a need to read more of the others, because the criticism is just, it's like that, right? Like, I've read so many comics, and I've done pretty good at telling when I'm gonna like a thing, but when it's gonna be more objective flaws with a thing, beyond just me disliking a thing because of personal taste. And for the others, I didn't feel a need to read more, but this one, the criticisms were a lot more in-depth, and my issues were on a much more, core level. So I felt a need to read more to make sure that what I was about to say was not misplaced. And it's not my intention to just go out and bash this, because, you know, I could sit there and doo-doo, caca, pee-pee, poo-poo, garbage, dookie, you know, like, I could do that, but, like, it's gonna get boring pretty quick, and that's not gonna do anything. It's not gonna be productive in any way. Obviously, you can see that I've gone a little bit frustrated by this as time has gone on, but, you know, it wasn't my intent to be harsher. You know, I wanted, all of these I want to go in with an open mind, and this one I had heard more about than the others. The others I just heard, oh, bad. This one I had heard, you know, a little bit more, but I still wanted to, like, you know, I still wanted to give it a chance. And I didn't want to just, like, shit on it for funsies, right? Especially this one is, like, infamously bad. There are many videos, more so than, like, other comics, talking about how this is bad. Obviously, like, boyfriend's, like, the #1 hot topic to poop on, you know? But, yeah, it's just incredibly problematic in so many ways. And the only way that maybe this could have been enjoyed is, one, if she was a villain, and two, if this was, like,
adult content
without a plot, right? If she was just like a bunch of men fell in love with her at first sight and then they just boned, that would work more in its favor, I think, because that's, to me, what it seems like it wants to be. And it didn't want to frame her as a villain, because it didn't, not even close. Look, make your own judgments, but you've seen mine, right? I feel like my opinion is very clear at this point. And to date, this is probably the worst comic I've read. Not to be, like, dramatic about it, but I don't think there is anything that might be like, oh, you know, all of that to say, no, right? The dynamic, also, even if you want to disregard the slavery part, which I don't know why you would, it's kind of hard to do that. It's kind of hard to separate the story from that. There's still a really weird power dynamic, especially with, like, Han and Jade, because it's just like, well, if you don't come with me, I'm basically going to make everyone suffer for it. So, yeah. If this had not been a romance, and this had been framed differently, I think this story could have been decent, but at this point, it's gone too far. And, little side note that I feel like I do have to address, this comic has been on hiatus for 2 years, and apparently that is because the artist was involved in some dubious stuff with minors on Discord. So, you know, I don't know that it'll come back, and I honestly hope it won't. You know, most of the others, it's like, okay, well, they're not for me. But this one, I cannot just dismiss it as it's not for me. There are too many things that are beyond just a matter of personal taste, right? If it was just not for me, I wouldn't have yapped this long about it. Stuff that's just not for me, I just get bored and I drop it. This one, I wanted to drop it, but for other reasons. Well, it was boring many times, but beyond that, right? So, I would not recommend you read this. Do yourself a favor, don't read this. It's not only is it, like, bad on every level, but, like, when it's not actively being horrible, it is just boring. And, you know, like I've mentioned, you know, it's, everything about it is problematic. Even the creators are problematic. Like, the artist, like, ugh, you know what I mean? Like, what? So, there's just too much for me to be like, yeah, okay, like, it's, in conjunction, it's just, no. It's just horrible, and I'm sure there are worst webtoons out there, but this was endorsed and published by Webtoon, and as far as I know, I think it's a Webtoon original. So, what are we doing? Why would Webtoon choose to, like, this is why, like, there is a difference between just, like, one person making a comic that's kind of iffy, but it's like, you know, it's a one-man project, and they're not experienced. But this is not it. This is not it.
And yeah, everything about this was actually horrible. Again, what I said earlier applies. I need people to agree with me that I'm not. I need people to tell me I'm not going insane. Okay, like I need this. It's like not only do have I had to do this, but I'm gonna have to continue editing this after because I'm recording this bit in between editing. So like, hopefully you enjoyed. Hopefully you enjoyed, and at least that makes the suffering a little bit better. Maybe like me later on when I've forgotten the amount of suffering this inflicted will find this enjoyable, or like, oh yeah, like that was kind of fun that I did that, I guess. I didn't have fun, but it's kind of fun that I did it, I guess. But this one. So yeah, I mean, look, I don't know what to say, man. I've been yapping about this for so long that my throat is getting kind of sore. So, you know, I'm gonna have to leave it here. But if, you know, if you enjoyed this, I'll probably make more Webtoon videos in the future. You know, my current ones are mostly complaining, but I do plan to make some on ones I like as well. And if you do have recommendations, feel free to leave them below. If you've got any thoughts and opinions, please share them, especially if it's telling me that I'm not insane. That's the type of comment I would like to see the most. And yeah, I mean, look, if you liked, I guess you can like. you permission to like. And thanks for 100 subscribers. Very epic. I bet all of you are very epic. And hopefully you hopefully, all 100 of you enjoy torture because, this video exists. And, yeah, thank you for everyone who subscribed, very epic. And thank you for the support. And if you're not subscribed and you would like to, feel free to. I talk about Webtoons, but also other stuff. I have a few Webtoons videos on Webtoons, actually. I'll try to remember to link that. And if you feel like watching it, you know, feel free to. That way, we can complain together about the comics. Yeah. I'm concerned for you if you watched this far, but thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed. I hope my suffering was entertaining. Yeah, I'll probably have to take a little break from comics after this, but it'd be like that, I guess. Let me in!